Let's do it.
Traveling to Numbani.
We ready to go?
I guess. I'm not sure. All right.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh yeah, we were waiting for the countdown.
Right, we were just waiting for the cue.
5, 4, 3.
Okay, yeah.
All right, and welcome to the Discord community Throwdown. Labosco here alongside of me, Kenobi, as we are getting ready for a matchup of Blue Rain versus OnFire. And funny enough, right now, Kenobi, in blue is Blue Rain and OnFire is in red. Another Discord community Throwdown game going on in this very long round robin. Tell us about Blue Rain real quick.
Well, Blue Rain, this is my first time going to be seeing this team, so we're gonna have Draw Boy on that Mercy, is one of their main healers. They like the Moira. Then we're gonna see Zekine. We're on this Soldier 76. Parzival has not picked a hero yet, but I believe Parzival is their flanker DPS. We're gonna have Sweets on the Diva, Loch Ness on that Winston, and then rounding it out, we're gonna have Alphak on the Sen.
So it looks like Parzival isn't there, so yep, he's not there. So I think
so
that they're
that's why
probably
we didn't.
gonna need the pause to end up happening here.
Yeah.
And actually,
All right.
they're just gonna throw it back and wait for him to get there.
Well, Blue Rain has been together for 2.5 months. Their favorite team compositions to run is Mozart and Bach. I've not heard of those ones before. They might be a little bit more nuanced than I've heard in broadcast.gg and things like that. Their favorite game mode deathmatch, so really good at that Call of Duty-esque style of gameplay. And their least favorite map, Blizzard World and Horizon Lunar Colony. So don't like the 2CP and don't like Blizzard World. That's pretty much standard for most teams.
So they haven't been together long. They're really big fans of classical music, and they think that they're playing Call of Duty. All right, got it. Awesome. They want to keep their comms clear too, so obviously we won't hear that, but through the game we can usually tell if they're keeping comms clear or not. And their team that they're playing against, OnFire, well, they've been together a little bit longer, 6 months about, which is half a year for those of you who aren't sure. They love to run dive, which is I think what we were starting to see there before things kind of got stopped. Their favorite map type is Ilios. Our favorite map is Ilios. Their favorite game mode, of course, it's not a surprise, is Control Point, which kind of goes along with what their favorite map is. Their least favorite map is a payload map, and it's Route 66. And actually, that's their least favorite type as well. So a bit of an interesting dynamic there. Usually payload maps are not people's least favorite. Usually it's a general consensus.
2CP.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see. It looks nice to see that both teams had fun with this too. Our first map here is going to be Numbani as well, Kenobi. We saw what looked like maybe a dive from OnFire, and we're kind of seeing similar on the other side.
Yeah, so we saw Dive versus Dive going to be coming out there, and Dive versus Dive is really interesting, especially when you think about how you're talking about with offense and defense. When you're playing defensive Dive, you kind of have to be just a little bit more patient with your dive. But when you're on offense, you can kind of just pick a target and just say, we're going to go on them and dive just all of you. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams are going to execute their part of the dive.
What we were seeing is going down main too, which is not unusual or uncommon too to see from a diving team, because you're kind of just looking for those targets, seeing if they're spread out or not. It looks like we're going to get a little bit of a different look here, though, from Blue Rain.
No,
well, they're just jumping off the edge of the map. They are not one of us. It is what they're showing.
They're raining down on the desert below them there, Blue Rain. But it looks like two of them Sweets is going to be on this Diva, and Drawboy is going to be on that Mercy, which is going to stay. And Loch Ness too is going to stay on his hero. So they were just having a little bit of fun at the beginning there, maybe psyching the team out. And looks like on the side of OnFire, they're gonna do the same thing. It's just team kills all around.
Yes, very Mac Almighty making sure to get the Zarya to take themselves out. Now switching to the Pharah, and now we finally get them to settle onto something. They're going to go with the Genji Pharah combo here for this first attack, and there will be some DPS to deal with that from Zekin on the Soldier 76. Although he has to be careful.
Yeah, also interesting, we don't see a Mercy or any target, or I mean, the Zen is the only healer that can really get Mac Almighty here on this Pharah. We usually always see a Pharah with this, I mean, we always see a Mercy rather with this Pharah, so it's going to be interesting how he's going to play, and he already got Drama Boy, so that's a big pick that they got already.
Was able to avoid the damage while the Discord Orb was on, but Zekin's able to get Josiah, and then Alpha KH able to get Beta out of mech, but still the kill feed has been red here. Sweet's the only one contesting the point now, going to lose that mech. Zekin back here though to try and deal some damage in on the point, but quickly taken out, got his own Helix rocket reflected back into him, went for the res, but Drama Boy gets taken out, so it's going to be a very first take here for OnFire on this map. 3 minutes on the clock, and they're going to get some extra time.
Yeah, so I said, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Mac Almighty is played, and it doesn't seem that the lack of a Mercy is being a detriment to him at all as he gets a little bit low there. He manages to clean up the point by himself pretty much, did a lot of good damage there. Looks like the hit scan, probably Zekin is going to have to do a really good job here trying to get this Mac Almighty down.
Do you think that maybe the Mercy needs to kind of babysit the Soldier a little bit to try and get Mac Almighty to at least have to go away a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think they also need to use the Zen Orb probably as well on him. I mean, Zen Orb on a Mercy, if Zekin can get a couple of good shots in, it could kill him right away. But it looks like he's just going to use the aimbot to try and kill him just out of the sky already.
He gets forced away by Josiah, though. Josiah stops the aimbot in its track. Radical does manage to get one with the Dragon Blade as well, taking advantage of that aimbot not really getting used. Zekin does take Radical out, though, with the there as well, though, after the Dragon Blade, but the card continues to move for OnFire as they've been able to clean up, and Zekin kind of alone by himself here now, just trying to stay alive behind, maybe gonna spawn camp a little bit.
Yeah, Zekin here should probably just, I mean, honestly, just die at this point, just walk off the map. I mean, you can get back to your team, you're not doing anything, and you are the only hit scan available for your team. Mac Almighty, as I say, and we hear the scream of Zekin falling off the map. Mac Almighty does have his barrage ready, so he can use this whenever he needs, if he needs big.
Able to farm up a little bit of ultimate though before he went off the side of the map. His team right now with 4 ultimates as well. Of course, the barrage always one to watch out for here. We'll see if Mac Almighty gets a good one here. Doesn't get a lot for it. Does manage to take out shields though, which leads to the damage from the rest of his team afterwards. He did get Sweets out of mech as well. That card getting dangerously close from going around this last corner. Sweets just stalling out of mech right now, gets whooped away. That should start the cart moving again, and quickly the Baby Diva taken out.
Yeah, that's kind of the duality of playing Pharah there. You're saying, well, I'm going to ult here, and I'm most likely going to die, but if I can get a couple of good picks, and he didn't even get a pick, he managed to get the mech off of Sweet, which was huge. And, I mean, as I'm talking and analyzing this, they just walked right to the payload. Mac Almighty being an absolute monster on that Pharah, Labasco.
And the Pharah just did the work that was needed. They got a big time bank here as well. 4:45 onto the clock here left after. And when you talk about an Umbani push, if you're over 2 minutes, if you're over a minute and a half, you're happy, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Numbani is one of those maps where if you really think about it, it's probably one of the hardest maps to push. I mean, there's just so many little inlets and corners where the enemy is able to stop you, and their respawns are closer than yours. So it's interesting what they're going to do, what the attacking team here, what OnFire is going to do on defense. It looks like Mac Almighty is going to be onto that Soldier, and based on how he played Pharah, I think that's a pretty decent pick with this high ground he can take.
So he'll be on that. Now, you're not going to see the Pharah. You don't usually see the Pharah on defense, but you know you're more than likely in one of these later maps going to see a Pharah again if you're Blue Rain. What is the thought as far as strategy the next time you see a Pharah? What needs to happen that didn't happen for them on that defense?
I think what needs to happen is Zekin was playing on that Soldier, and you saw a few times in the kill feed when he was getting picks on Radical and, you know, killing that Genji and killing a few of their other supports. But I mean, if you're focusing that Pharah, you're leaving the rest of your team so vulnerable to that splash damage that Pharah's rockets can do to you. And also, I think also on top of that, they need to get maybe a Zenyatta, and we did see one, but I think the Zenyatta needs to have orb almost constantly on that Pharah. She didn't have a Mercy, so she's not going to be able to heal through with that Zen orb on her and the Discord on her. She's not going to be able to heal through all that damage.
And you don't necessarily need to kill the Pharah, you just need to put pressure on the Pharah, force her away from being able to deal out the splash damage that she can do. When she's above the team and in a position where she's just shooting straight down, it's a lot easier to try and take targets out than it is if she has to be far away, and you can dodge those rockets a lot easier when they're coming from a mile away.
Yeah, dodging those rockets is the most important thing usually when you're playing Pharah. I mean, if they can hit you, if she's able to read your movements, that's the most detrimental thing. But it looks like we're going to see here a dive coming out from the side of Blue Rain, and they're kind of just stalling a little bit as Parsifal is on the backline, actually pretty much uncontested right now, Labasco.
Yeah, and Alpha Cage right now is capturing the point, almost has the first stick first team, even though the fight really hasn't been going their way right now. They've kind of gotten split up. They did get a couple. Radical did get one, and Josiah got Sweets out of the mech. So the defense starting to have a little bit of success here, taking out these last few targets that are alive. They didn't quite get to that one tick either. They were so close to it as well. And now it's just Loch Ness on the point right now and gets taken out. And they're going to have to regroup.
Yeah, and second they're getting staggered just a little bit there. The dive seemed like it was a good idea in theory. I mean, Sweets and Loch Ness were up on the top, but usually Parsifal should have, once they one-clipped that Zen, you probably should have just gone in, and all the teams should have gone in with him, but Loch Ness and Sweets kind of just stayed back a little bit, not diving in with Parsifal there, and if they had dived in, they probably would have been able to clean up that point with the dive if it was clean enough.
They can bait out some ultimates. They might have some good opportunities because when their ults come up, they might be at an advantage, but it's all about can you bait out the ultimates here. A lot on the other side. Radical with that blade as well, going to be one to watch out for here if he gets a good opportunity, especially with no defensive ults up. But Sweet gets Heavy J here at the start, drops the self-destruct onto an area, manages to get two, and Drama Boy and Alpha Cage. So Beta able to keep things alive for the defense here after the dive. Loch Ness, the only one left, and he's quickly eliminated by Radical and the rest of the team.
Beta there showing that he's the Beta Diva player as he got the 2.5 kills there, both on the supports. And when you lose both your supports, Labasco, that's pretty much a done deal for that push. You're not going to have any healing from the Mercy or the Lucio anymore. And Diva's demixed, so at that point, it's just a GG. But you did mention they did get a couple of ultis, or actually a few rather. They got a few ultis, just Josiah with his Primal Rage left, and I guess you could take that, I mean, if you are Blue Rain.
The only unfortunate thing is Zekin doesn't have the blade yet. Heavy J's about to get transcended, so he will be able to use it defensively here when the blade gets up. They're going to use the visor here. Zekin, though, they get Heavy J out of the way, so now he can use the blade freely, gets two with it as well. Josiah did get Alpha HK, and Beta got Loch Ness, but it doesn't really matter. The rest of the team is down, and Drama Boy's able to res their tank back. Beta dropping another self-destruct, quickly built that up and just used it. But just using it there more out of desperation and doesn't get it. Parsifal quickly takes out Beta.
Ooh.
And now they will get the take here, but it did take a lot of time is the only problem.
Yeah, it took a lot of time and a lot of ultimates. As you can see, no ultimates almost pretty much available for the side of Team Blue Rain there, and it was interesting to see how the dive finally ended up working if you got those couple of ults. Zekin, with that Dragon Blade, managed to slice through two at once, and after that, it was a really good cleanup from the side of the DPS, and Zekin's going to be able to kill Radical solo. They're playing really far up here, Labasco.
Very far up. Josiah is able to take Drama Boy out because of that. Alpha HK, the only one on the card, moving it around. It looked like maybe they were going to try and go to Heavy J, who ended up having to use the Transcendence. So they got the Transcendence out. I think they're going to be happy with that, at least, Kenobi.
Yeah, that's definitely a win. I mean, Heavy J having to pop that Transcendence, he's not going to have it for these next couple of fights, and that's a huge amount of healing that a Transcendence can help you against some of these damage dealers like Parsifal and Zekin, who have been doing a really good job so far on these DPS.
And why is it important? Because they have the Sound Barrier, which they drop right now, although I don't know how many players it ended up getting. Josiah had forced it out with the Monkey getting the Nano Boost, so good job by the Winston there to force that out, and now his team is taking advantage after the Sound Barrier wears off for the couple players on the low ground. Alpha Cage just trying to get away And it looks like they'll be able to, but not before Sweets loses the mech. So Sweets will probably have to go back in and remech, or no, looks like Sweets is going to stay out and just try and build back up to it.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision. You usually would see probably Sweets just go back in and get mech again, or just throw themselves off the point here. But looks like he's gonna just try and be his best cool mat cosplay here and use that Bunny Blaster to his best usage. As the Dragon Blade's gonna come out, double Dragon Blades Labosco here.
Yes, both Dragon Blades out here, but neither have been able to find any value out of it yet. Drama Boy gets taken out by the blaster of the Valking Drama Boy. So a good start at least for the Mercy here. Sweets managed to take out Mac Almighty though, so they do lose a bit of the damage here, but it's a very even fight on either side. Winston's both on the cart. Primal Rage going to be popped here by Josiah to cause some havoc in the back line. Alpha HK getting caught out into a KH, excuse me, getting caught out to a bad area, but quickly gets pushed back into his own team. Primal doesn't take out the Zenyatta, even though it was battered around. Also, he making that switch, by the way, from the Lucio. Mac Almighty, though, in beta, doing what's needed to at least keep this cart from moving, even though there's still plenty of the offensive players left.
Yeah, this is one of the respawns we talked about earlier. Is like this is pretty much in the middle of both respawns. You can get the defensive team can get there almost just as fast as the offensive team, so there really isn't a respawn advantage for either team, and it looks like it's just a brawl here on the point that is going on the side of OnFire right now.
The only problem is even if they do get this point here, it's still going to be in favor of the defending team. Radical, though, with the Dragon Blade, able to slice down one. Parzival did get too salty in the back line, but there's not enough help from his team to try and take out the rest. They're going to have to regroup here for one last fight.
Yeah, this is probably their last fight. And Parzival, they're going down to Radical. He's not going to be there for that next fight, probably. If he is, he's just going to be barely there, and they don't have any DPS. That was a huge stagger. Great job from Radical there to hunt out the Tracer, and that probably is going to be it, Labosco.
It's going to be on the second Dragon Blade if he can get any value out of it, but here, he's going to try and have to wait that out at the very least. Mac Almighty, though, does get Drama Boy out here, and now here comes the Blade, but it's right into a Transcendence is the only issue. He's not going to be able to cut down anybody through all that damage. Does get Heavy J at the end after the Blade ends, though, but isn't going to be enough for his team. Dashing back into the second, but he's quickly taken out by Josiah, and they will win this first map. Will OnFire, but it was very hard fought. The defense of Blue Rain just wasn't enough, and the defense for OnFire held up just long enough.
Yeah, and Mac Almighty here getting the play of the game as he should. He was really a nuisance on this fair. I had questioned it before on the start. Was he going to be able to do a lot of damage without that? Great job here. These kills, and even when on defense when he wasn't playing the Pharah, Mac Almighty on that soldier was still pumping out a lot of damage, so good on him.
Now, I want to remind everybody, too, that Discord community Throwdown has a little bit of a different scoring system. You get 4 points for a win. You get 2 points if you lose but get on the board, which Blue Rain did. So the score is 4-2 if you're going by map points. 1-0, obviously, if you're just looking at just flat maps. So just something to pay attention to. It's important as far as standings and playoff things and things like that later on. So pay attention to that as we go. But like you were saying, Kenobi, that Pharah, we saw the play of the game from it as well. Very big, very important. We're going to see some changes here too, it looks like, from the side of Blue Rain. So some new players coming in here. And honestly, I thought their lineup played pretty well for the most part, just other than the defense. The defense is their biggest issue. Offensively, they played pretty good. But you're probably going to see a Pharah again eventually on one of these maps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw a lot of good moments from the side of Team Blue Rain there. That dive at the end to take that first point, that was a really nice coordinated dive with the Genji Blade and with the ultimates that they were able to coordinate well enough. And that might be just the reason they might not be as crisp and clean with their dive is because they've only been together for 2.5 months. So dive is something in a team coordinated and competitive setting that comes with a lot more, coordination and a lot more practice to get it just about right. And we saw that OnFire seems to be pretty good with their dive as they ran in on the second point.
And you talked about it at the beginning too, before the match had started. They got a big roster for Blue Rain. We're going to see a couple more of them coming in. Right now, they've got Dr. Frog, Pantsu, King Primo coming in right now, and probably a couple other ones that'll be coming in. So a lot of switches, Turney and Bjorn. So names that we didn't see before. So we could get a completely different look from this team now, even though, I mean, well, they didn't really tell us much other than that they like to get some kills and like to play deathmatch.
Yeah, so this is their actually. I believe this is pretty much their entire starting roster here. I mean, based on what I'm seeing in my notes, the rest of the people that we have seen so far had been substitutes, but it looks like Dr. Frog and the rest of the people on this team. These are the starting lineup. So maybe we're gonna see something completely different from this version of Blue Rain.
And Lijiang Towers, where we're going to next. Now, there is possibilities for a Pharah on Lijiang Towers. So I ask again, what we didn't get too deep into it, but now with a little bit more time, you said that when there's a Pharah, you need to focus the Pharah down and really have the soldier kind of concentrate on that. Does that change when you're on a control point map?
I think it depends because when you're on control point, if we're going to like Lijiang and if we end up going to Gardens, Gardens is one of those maps where we usually see a pharmacy versus pharmacy battle. Almost 9 times out of 10, I believe we've seen that on until someone switches, and it usually always starts with those two matchups. So that's really what I'm going to be looking for is if we're going to see the side of Blue Rain just bring out their own Pharah and maybe put a Mercy with it. If OnFire decides to get a little bit too greedy and not play the Mercy with the Pharah and maybe just pick the Zen, if Blue Rain is able to pick a Pharmacy over just the regular Mercy and Zen, I think they're going to be able to abuse that and maybe punish them for getting a little bit too greedy with their pick of Zen instead of Mercy.
Well, of course, we'll just have to wait and see what we end up getting as our first map. And you can potentially see a Pharah on Night Market as well. It's a lot less common, but it is a possibility on that map too. Yeah. I don't know if we'll see it there, but there is another thing that both teams will. I think Lijiang's one of my favorite control point maps because literally all 3 maps you see almost a completely different style of play on all 3 as far as the comps go.
I think you're right about that. I think Lijiang Towers is most likely the best control map because there's just such a wide variety. I mean, you get that first map, you get Gardens. Gardens is just a very open map except for the point itself, and you can just you see like the Fire Mercy and stuff, and then you have Control Center, which is just such a down to earth brawl in the room kind of like Zarya, Rein, Junkrat, like all of these heroes that do a bunch of AoE, and then you have that, and then kind of the ending on Night Market is kind of like an amalgamation of all of the first 2, where you can pretty much play anything to any success.
Well, as what we normally end up getting, I don't know why it always seems to be the first one, but we're getting Gardens as our first map here. So the Pharah v Pharah looks like it might be something that we get. Well, actually, right now, if things stay the way they are, Bjorn is on Reaper. And Mac Almighty was showing the Pharah. I think he'll go back to it. He's showing us Bastion right now, but I think he's just playing with our hearts.
Yeah, I never trust the starting. Like until they walk out of the spawn, I never trust what they're gonna do because then I'll say something like, "Oh, I'll analyze something," and then they'll just switch, and then I'll be like, "Okay, it doesn't matter anyways."
They just like to mess with you, Kenobi. Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I feel personally attacked right now.
Yeah, because the Bastion Symmetra strat is one that's talked about quite a bit. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Josiah here, you really just got to get on that point and get up your turrets. That's really all I can say.
Well, we are seeing some switches here, but we're not going to see the Pharah from either side. Interestingly enough, we're going to see a McCree and a Junkrat, and then we're going to see the Reaper and McCree on the other side. So similar but contrasting styles from both of these teams. Road, Winston and Reinhardt for the main tanks.
Yeah, this is an interesting combo. I mean, we usually don't see this too often. We usually, like I said, see that Pharmacy, but this is the 10th time out of 10 that I talked about where it doesn't happen. It looks like these teams are just going to feel each other out here. Bjorn needs to be very careful here because he can get a lot of damage done, but if he gets flashbanged by that McCree, he could go down, and as I say, that Mac Almighty's going to kill him, and that's no DPS for the side of Blue Rain.
Spam is not good when it's in a game. That's for sure. So, unfortunately for him, it also helps lead to his team, and Venard went off there on the McCree, by the way, on fire, and he already has a Deadeye.
Yeah, Venard doing a great job here, kind of being his own TF2 Pine right now for the team of OnFire. Mac Almighty is also really close to his Junkrat Tire, which can pretty much win a fight for you if you use it well enough, and Two Salty's almost got his Transcendence, so they are really ahead in Alls here on Fire.
Venard kind of was hiding there. Now he's looking to try and put some damage out onto the back line. Gets a good headshot on, and now moves on to the point to try and deal with a couple of players that are there with the rest of his team. Still dealing the damage out, finding some headshots. His team hasn't been able to take anybody out, but they're going to use the Riptire here of Mac Almighty, but King Primo able to take it out. Now they pop the Deadeye onto the point, looking for something, looking for those little red skulls. He doesn't manage to at least take out the shield, and then Venard will find King Primo afterwards, who's using it out of his own flashbangs, and then takes out Pantsu, who's out of mech. Self-destruct onto the point by Beta, takes out Drama Boy, and now they're going to be able to roll this eventually. Oh, and there's a bit of a waste of an ult using the Earth Shatter. I wonder if Dr. Frog is making the switch, because that was very ill-advised if he isn't.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a solo queue ulti right there, I like to call that, where you are really down in numbers and you just kind of use the ultimate and like, I'm gonna get everyone and I'm gonna kill everyone, but no, unfortunately Dr. Frog isn't able to follow up onto his Earth Shatter, which did get a couple of people. There just wasn't the damage to follow up.
So now they're going back around to the White Room again, trying to get their way back onto the point, see if they can at least try and get this flip here, as it's already almost to 99%. Chances are, even if they win this fight, they will get there. Self-destruct thrown out, doesn't find anybody. Couple players low, though, for OnFire. The first to fall is Heavy J. Mac Almighty, though, finds a support of its own. OnFire keeping this in their favor. Riptire out. If this gets somebody, it could be disastrous. Manages to get Pantsu out of the mess. So, continuing to keep this fight in their favor. They just have to take care of the Lucio on point, who's trying to stall. And they can't hold on for too long. Drama Boy taken out. And they will win here on Gardens and go up 1-0 for OnFire.
I mean, pretty convincing, I would say, Labasco, this kind of 100% to 0 win there. I mean, Venard, Lude, and Mac Almighty there on the DPS were just doing such a good job. I mean, when one was not showing up in the kill feed, the other was showing up all the time. So great job from them, and they proved me wrong. You don't really need Farah on Gardens, so they did a good job. Venard, Lude, and Mac Almighty.
Probably helped that they didn't see a Farah on the other side, though, too.
But now they see a Farah on the other side.
And this is a map where it's probably
never see it.
Yeah, it's the least effective because you have a ceiling. I mean, not that it can't work, it's just a lot harder for it to work.
Yeah, definitely, especially since the fight is going to start in this server room over here, and you're not going to have, as a Farah here, you're not going to have that many, sight lines to see into that server room. You can just shoot willy-nilly into it, but it's not like a Junkrat where if you just shoot into it, you're going to get all that AoE damage, and it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to work with this Fire Mercy. We don't really see it too much on this map.
They have the Far Mercy, though, in a good position, though. Now, just to try and but Venard at eye level with it. And that's disastrous, and that's exactly why he flashbangs it right into Mac Almighty spam. And now they have an early pick that they need. They did lose a player of their own. Turney's able to get the res onto Bjorn, so a very important res here. But Venard able to find King Primo in that time. So still pretty even here on either side. Kills now, finally, Venard is just doing work on this McCree as he finds another.
Yeah, Venard, they're doing a great job of getting the kills. Flashbanged, as you mentioned, the Farah into the Junkrat spam, and then managing to get the Farah for himself there as Turney wasn't tethered to him right away. So, great job. And the Coalescence comes out already with the Valkyrie. Support ultimate battle here, Labasco.
Very difficult, though, on either side. It's still an even fight as it continues. Primal Rage knocking players off for the side of Blue Rain, but they have to fight through a sound barrier that was just popped now. The Valkyrie out now. This self-destruct manages to find Mac Almighty. It's a good start from Pantsu, but this dead for Venard free. That's gonna get the point finally for OnFire. A fight that looked like it was gonna go in favor of Blue Rain for a second. The ultimate from the Deadeye changes everything.
Absolutely huge ultimate there from Too Salty and Venard Lou there. I mean, great play to pretty much turn that fight, and this is why Zarya is such a good hero on this map. The team is so clustered, and that Graviton can usually get 4 to 5 people in that ultimate and pretty much win you fights all together. So great job there from Too Salty, being a little bit patient with that ultimate. Fight looked like it was going bad, but he was confident enough in his McCree and in his Graviton that he was going to get him.
Betas finds Bjorn here early on, who's on the Moira right now, by the way, usually seen on tank. King Primo just going to the point, trying to force some players back to allow for his team to get through that small choke, but not too many have gone back. So maybe they can take advantage of the difference in numbers here at the door. And by the way, already a lot of ultimates used. This is only his second fight.
I mean, this is the kind of map as the Shatter's gonna come out here with the Coalescence and all the barrage. Alts are just flying everywhere, Labasco. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Too many ultimates, but it's going in favor, at least for the moment, of the team trying to take the point back in Blue Rain. Turning, getting the res onto Bjorn, keeps the Pharah in the skies, but better able to find the Winston here early on. So starting to turn things around, but as I say that, Bjorn able to take out Beta, and King Primo finds Venard. So two heavy hitters gone. Heavy J, though, able to take out the Mercy. Charging in is Josiah with Heavy J as they're trying to keep this point. 75% they've been able to build up. So even if they end up winning this fight for Blue Rain, they've had to give up a lot of percentage already, and they still haven't been able to flip it yet, as coming back in with the Deadeye is Venard, but they're hiding that well this time. No on Surge to get them. He does get Bjorn, though.
I don't know how Bjorn probably is so tilted right now. He probably didn't think that there was any way that he was going to be caught by that McCree. But McCree just kind of flicks his wrist to the right and says, I got you, Bjorn, I see you in my vision, and kills him as he's going to kill King Primo as well. And Venard Lude gonna pretty much almost single-handedly win this game for his team. Great job here.
Mac Almighty with a lot of damage as well. Coalescence by Beta to keep everybody up here at the end as the overtime meter ticks down. And it will be a win once again for the side of OnFire. Unfortunately, only 1 point this time for Blue Rain, so it now goes to 8-3 as far as the total score after these two maps. And Too Salty is actually going to be the one at the play of the game.
Yeah, the J Jonak skin doing wonders for Too Salty here, as we're gonna see him get the play of the game. Nice job there getting that Junkrat rather, and looks like some of this is gonna be some healing too. So good job on him. Love seeing good Zenyatta plays. Really, 47 KP on defense assist. That's pretty nuts, Labasco.
That is really insane, and 20 of them as well as the total amount. 47%. Like you said, that is a large number. That means that his orbs were being effective in healing players that were in the thick of things. Because if they're getting kills, they're in a position usually to get killed themselves. So it's cool to see that Kenobi, and to me that Deadeye though into the Graviton Surge was a huge moment on that map, which was super close.
Yeah, definitely, it was close up until that point, and I think this is why we showed why the comps in these types of maps are so strong, because we saw the Reinhardt and the Zarya and the Moira and Lucio come out and the Junkrat come out for the side of Team OnFire, and it was just so oppressive. I mean, unless you're running something almost as similar as that, it's going to be really hard for you to deal with all that AoE damage and all of that, shielding that they have on the side of Team OnFire there. So I would have liked to have seen maybe Blue Rain switch it up just a little bit before, maybe grab a Junkrat for themselves and maybe get off the Pharah as it wasn't working. It seemed like Venard Lude had his number, Bjorn, on that Pharah, so maybe next time maybe just switch just a little bit sooner.
And Bjorn stayed alive for a while, but like you said, maybe just not as effective as they would have liked. It's a hard point to try and have the Pharah be extremely effective. I would have loved to have seen it though on Gardens. I was hoping we were going to, and I mean Bjorn did show us some good Pharah play is the only thing. So it's not like it was completely a lost cause, but like you said, as far as map picks goes, maybe not the best place to play it.
Yeah, especially because you don't have that infinite skyline, right? And you can't basically go up all the way to the skybox and abuse the fact that McCree's bullets are going to have fall-off damage on you. So if you're that close to McCree, and a couple of headshots is going to kill you basically in a couple of shots. So really would have liked to have seen it come out on, as you mentioned, the Gardens map. As it looks like, speaking of maps, we're going to be heading to Dorado next.
So what do we look for here on Dorado, especially with what we know about these two teams and what we've seen from them up until this point? Dorado is a map that you could see Pharah again. There is some room to play her on those first 2 points. Do we see Pharah again? Is that what we should be looking for? Do we look for more McCree from Venard? What is it to look for here as we go into this third map?
I think definitely look for the Pharah, probably on offense coming out from Blue Rain. I mean, we did see, as you mentioned, a few a few highlights, you know, a few good plays that were coming out from them. I would like to see it on a more open map, you know, as you mentioned. But on the side of OnFire, they hate payload only maps. So Dorado being a payload only map, this might be one of the times where Blue Rain can abuse that fact to their advantage.
And this is the thing too. Things can change quickly here as far as the way that the points are going. If you can full hold on fire and then win the map yourself, that's a 4-1. That just brought this game a whole heck of a lot closer than what it was. Because like we said, right now it's 8-3. Well, if that happens, it ends up going to a 9-7 situation. So another map win, and they could be back out in front if they were to hold them fully once again. And I think that's kind of the cool thing doing the 4-point system is there is a chance, even though, you know, because normally it's just you get a point for if you win the map, you don't get a point if you lose. This gives a little bit more room for ties to not happen, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, ties are usually something you don't really want to see in Overwatch. You like to see someone win and someone lose. Even in traditional sports like, you know, soccer, football, hockey, you really just hate seeing ties. It feels like everyone's kind of a loser at that point. So hopefully, as you mentioned, we might see a little bit more of a competitive game here. They've been pretty close in terms of play, but the score has been a little bit on the side of OnFire right now.
So we're going to see OnFire on offense again, and well, it looks like they're going to show us maybe a Pharah. Mac Almighty teasing us with it, and we saw his Pharah already, and he played a pretty good one. So if we do get to see his Pharah here, it looks like they're going to go very similar to what they did on Nimbani.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, the way you saw it played on Numbani, it was pretty well, even when they got to that payload stage. So it looks like they're just going to decide to play their comfort picks here. Mac Almighty going to be on this Pharah, and Bernard Lude, as we saw on that last map, on that McCree, can do a lot of damage.
Now, for the defensive side, it looks like they're going to go maybe with Junkrat Soldier 76. So, of course, we saw them have a Soldier last time. It was a little bit of a different team look as far as players. So maybe they can deal with it a little bit better here. And they're going to go Moira Lucio for the support. So they won't have that Discord orb for the Pharah, but they do have the Soldier. And they do actually, they're going with, look like they were going to go with the Reese, but they're going to go Reinhardt.
I'm also really shocked that I'm not sure if Heavy J and Too Salty are going to stay on these supports right now, but I'm shocked that they're not going to pick something like a Zen or an Ana or a, you know, or a Mercy rather. I mean, as I say that, obviously Too Salty is going to switch over to Zen, because that's just how it works. But it's a good thing he's going to play on the Zen, because if you're Zen, you can just you can just throw your orb onto that Pharah, kind of throw it and just leave it on her, know that you're going to be doing some good healing and making sure she lives.
And I think that you had the Moira ball trick here at Dorado happen early on, so a little bit of damage. I think that's just the reason why Too Salty did it. And Bjorn, though, with the early pick on a Heavy J, so good start here for the defending team in Blue Rain.
And definitely you're going to lose your healers, so just be very passive with this attack here. Mac Almighty is going to try and flank with the rest of his team, and it looks like they're going to be able to push them back, even though they did get picked off first. A little bit of a, you know, a bold offense coming out from OnFire. They're going in 5v6.
Not very worried at all. Mac Almighty was very close to getting taken down, but gets out of the way and gets back to full health and is now dealing the damage back out. Card is stuck though right now in the choke, but Venard with the first pick. It's Bjorn here for this fight. So now things maybe turn around. Turney though getting beta out of Mac can maybe keep this at least a little bit even. But as I say that, Too Salty and Mac Almighty doing the work that's needed to be done.
Yeah, King Primo goes down there, and that's going to be probably the point here coming out for the side of Team OnFire. Mac Almighty is going to be absolutely ruthless on this fair, going to push them all the way back. No one's going to be able to contest him, really, if he stays up in the air well enough away from the Junkrat. So good job from them to get to, with their target selection, onto getting King Primo off that Soldier.
Bjorn, too, with that late pick, though, that will help out a little bit to slow this down, maybe just a hair. But with that quick spawn to get back, Venard's going to be able to get right back with his team really fast.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get back, and I've been watching Mac Almighty's health bar this entire time, pretty much, and he's playing very well at being safe. I mean, he hasn't been touched too much by King Primo on this Soldier. He's doing a really good job of knowing his limits with the health of Pharah and the healing of Zenyatta. So that's really nice to see as he's going to dive in here. against the Coalescence, that actually might be detrimental, as that is a pretty long range, and King Primo finally is going to be able to take down the bird.
Not only does he take him down, but he takes him down with a Helix rocket out of the air. That's impressive. Now pops the visor, does Primo, finds Too Salty. But this team, even if they end up losing this fight, they're going to be okay with any ultimates they take out.
Burn.
As the Deadeye comes here from Venard from behind, but he gets nothing out of it now, just trying to get back to his team. Mac Almighty doesn't get revenge, but Dr. Frog finding Venard, so they're getting staggered here a little bit, but they're going to push in anyways. Oh, and killed before he could use the barrier was Drama Boy, so that's a loss of an ultimate.
Absolutely huge ultimate there from Mac Almighty, being able to cancel out the Lucio sound barrier there, not giving any of that barrier to his team healing, and Mac Almighty here proving he is the real deal on this Pharah and has that good game sense to be able to really just counteract an ult all by himself. Gets King Primo, he's going to still be uncontested here, and this is looking really bad for them.
We'll see when he decides to switch off here if they get this next point as well, because the final point, definitely tough sledding for a Pharah, but he keeps getting kills. He gets Dr. Frog, he's to 60% almost for his ultimate, so it looks like he's going to stay on it for now. Finds another kill, up to 70%. Pushing his way in further as his team continues to push forward. They're going to get this through the doors real easily, and Josiah jumping and Goomba stomps King Primo and then takes out Panson.
Yeah, Goomba stomps him, and you hear the little ding from Mario as he jumps on him right there. Mac Almighty, though, still just on this Pharah, not worried too much about the height restrictions on this part of the map, and a pharmacy coming out from Bjorn and Trim. Maybe if Bjorn can land a couple of direct rockets onto Mac Almighty, they might be able to get her out of the sky and, stop the push completely from the side of Team OnFire.
Well, Dr. Frog getting Too Salty is a good start, but Josiah finds the Zenyatta on the other side, so both Zens gone here. The High Noon doesn't get anything, but Josiah in the primal range gets Primo, and then Turney taken out by Venard. So now you have a flightless bird pretty much in Bjorn, who gets taken out by Josiah, and that's going to allow this card to move after they take out the Diva here, as they move around this final corner and are pushing here with another great time. Jumping in out of desperation is Dr. Frog. King Primo ulting from behind, but he came off the high ground. Venard took him out.
Why did you come off the high ground? King Primo could have stayed on the high ground there and done so much damage onto the back line, but he decides to jump down, and Venard is there with his flashback, stops the ult and caps him right in the head, unfortunately, for King Primo. He's going to switch over to the Genji and try and get back on this point.
The spawns, though, really strong here from the side of Blue Rain. The respawns coming in. King Primo on the Genji, able to find 2 quick kills as well. So ended up that switching off beneficial, and he's already halfway to a Dragon Blade. Now it's the tough position here for OnFire. They had so much momentum, and now it's all gone, evaporated, because they got stopped short, and this is one of the hardest points to take.
Yeah, Mac Almighty here is going to have a really difficult job trying to get through these points, as he's just so clamped and cluttered. He can't abuse his flight, and he's going to be, he's going to be pinned down just a little bit, and you might see him switch off his Pharah at some point if he doesn't feel comfortable enough with it.
Especially, too, Bjorn has the Rocket Barrage, and Too Salty has the ult, but the Barrage can do the damage through. Uses it here, it does force the ultimate. They're okay with that, and he still gets somebody out of it, too, in Beta. So the Diva not there anymore to eat up anything from that Pharah out of the sky, and Drama Boy finds Josiah. We're going to have to go back to the drawing board for OnFire here.
Yeah, OnFire has to go back to the drawing board. As you mentioned, Venard did get King Primo there, but Mac Almighty, I'm thinking he might need to switch here. I mean, King Primo and Bjorn are doing a great job of targeting him. The one thing they need to be careful about is letting Venard just be himself. They need to worry about him too, because as we've seen, his McCree is also very good at getting these picks, so they need to be very careful in leaving just one person open like that.
Venard sneaking around on the right side right now, trying to get into a good position. Oh, he gets spotted out, though, by King Primo. Primo, though, gets the flashbang on him, but he's going to go down now, probably to the blade, although the sound barrier did come up, so that will keep him alive, at least for the moment, and Primo gets taken out by Venard. The rest of his team, too, doing the work needed out in front. Pantsu, the only one left, has to throw out the self-destruct, but quickly bubbled by Josiah, and Venard now with the insurance to make sure that cart goes the rest of the way with the Deadeye and the self-destruct by Beta. Drama Boy just comes in after the Deadeye goes away, but it's not going to be enough. They will finally take this with a minute 7 left. But that is not the time bank they thought they were going to have. without a doubt, Kenobi. Good job by Blue Rain.
Yeah, great job by Blue Rain on that defense there. It was just a one little slip up on there. King Primo with that ulti wasn't able to kill Venard, and Venard was able to live through that entire dive on him. And like I mentioned, they were doing a good job of targeting Mac Almighty, but that time they decided to target Venard instead. Venard ended up living, and Mac Almighty was able to be free in the backline, doing a ton of damage to the side of Team Blue Rain and getting them pretty much over that last hump.
The one thing I want to point out as well, though, too, is that I think it was a sound barrier that ended up allowing him to live for Venard. I think that he was caught by the sound barrier just enough that Heavy J had, and I think that was the difference. Otherwise, I think for sure he was gone.
Yeah, and that's definitely that's really good that he was able to get clipped right there, because King Primo definitely, if he had no sound barrier, probably would have had him dead to rights, but unfortunately for him, he just wasn't able to get that final slash onto him. And Blue Rain is gonna, you know, three points with a minute left is something you take definitely on this type of map, because sometimes it's really easy to just completely snowball, as we saw them doing for a good part of this.
Now the question becomes, of course, too, what do they do here? And it looks like they're going to have Bjorn on the Pharah again, and Bjorn did do pretty good on that Pharah on that final point to take on the Pharah of Mac Almighty. Mac Almighty, by the way, is going to be playing Moira now.
Yeah, I definitely like this pick from Blue Rain here. Bjorn and Turney were doing a good job on that pharmacy, and on the side of OnFire, you do not have that Zenyatta, so you can't discord the pharmacy combo, so Venard Lute is going to have to be insanely accurate with these headshots to try and take that down.
We know he can be. King Primo going to go to the McCree as well, so McCree v. McCree here we get to see as well, which is always a little bit of a fun battle to watch, is the spam coming out from Too Salty, who is on the Junkrat. Normally you see Too Salty on one of the support players, but can flex onto that DPS as well. So a lot of flexibility from OnFire. They have the Orisa up top, a lot of damage being put out. Venard will find Bjorn here early on, and that's going to be a disastrous first push, at least for Blue Rain.
Yeah, Turney there really needs to just be tethered completely to the Pharah right there. You can't leave your Pharah alone like that, or as we've seen, Venard is going to be able to pick her right out of the sky. So Turney's got to be just a little bit more careful, making sure her Pharah is safe.
Bjorn back into the fight, though, here. They're still able to push that card up, at least to the choke. This is where the all-important battle is going to come. Venard is so close to a Deadeye already. They almost have both of their DPS ultimates up. The Valkyrie up for Turney as well. So they're going to Valk in here to keep a little bit of extra healing in as they look to dive that back line. Dr. Frog, though, gets taken out. Out comes the Riptire as well. Bjorn does get Heavy J in that time. Too Salty looking for somebody. Finally gets one. And then Venard gets three with the Deadeye. What an ultimate there from Venard again.
Yeah, Venard, they're getting another triple kill with this Deadeye. He seems to have his shots ready and loaded and ready to go. But I mean, on the side of Team Blue Rain here, you gotta just let your pharmacy know that you guys need to stay together all this time. I mean, we saw Turney there pop a little bit too early. They really had to go in with all his teammates not going in, so they gotta be really careful in how they're playing this pharmacy.
They do have the Coalescence, which is going to be popped actually right away to initiate this fight. Self-destruct here behind the Orisa barrier, but it's not going to find anybody. Everybody able to get out of the way quick enough, and Drama Boy falls afterwards. So fight going in favor again of this defending team. They're having a lot of trouble at this choke. Bjorn just not getting the damage out that you want from the Pharah here, but now they have a Transcendence that they're going to push in with. But Too Salty finds King Primo in the meantime and gets another tire and takes out both supports.
Yeah, Bjorn here, as you mentioned, not doing the damage he needs to be doing, only 80% to his first barrage, I believe, and now he is going to decide to switch over to that Junkrat, and I'd like to see maybe Turney switch off into something maybe like a Lucio or a Moira, something that there's a little bit more AoE healing, because right now they're getting absolutely chunked by this Junkrat.
Bjorn has gone to Junkrat in response as well. They still do have the the Mercy, and do have the Valkyrie available here, but Drama Boy falls to Too Salty again. So Too Salty and Venard, the 2-star DPS players for this team, have been doing the work needed. Turney will be able to res Drama Boy, but can't res Bjorn. And now another High Noon finds Drama Boy again, who just got back up from the res, so they're down one support.
Oh, King Primo though gets a huge pick on both the DPS. Those are the main damage dealers for the side of Team On Fire. They're gonna need to. They're not gonna be back for this next fight. And if there's any chance that Blue Rain has, it's right now.
See if they can push in on it, but the only problem is Josiah and Beta doing the work on the tanks as they're able to get Tourney at least out of the fight. They also got the Diva out of mech as well, so that is huge here. Beta has to, sorry, not Beta, Pansu has to build up back to get that mech, and that'll allow for the DPS players to get back for the side of On Fire.
Yeah, they're gonna have to go in here for Blue Rain. They have to go in with their Valkyrie right now. Trini cannot die. She is very low, but if she dies, it's going to be absolutely horrendous for his team. And the Tire's gonna come out and try and find probably one of the supports or the DPS here. Oh, it got him
finds Tourney, who just his Valkyrie, so the Valkyrie non-existent as the team trying to hold on here, trying to get back onto those Blue Rain. Dr. Frog and Pansu, the tanks left on the cart right now, doing what they can. Drum Point just taken out afterwards, trying to rush back, but Venard with another Deadeye just will take out the baby Diva, and now they'll force their way towards the rest of the team, and that'll be another map win here on Dorado for On Fire, as they don't even allow for a point to be grabbed by Blue Rain.
Yeah, On Fire here. I mean, Too Salty and Venard are playing absolutely out of their minds so far on these maps, as we've seen these two DPS players go absolutely buck wild on the team of Blue Rain, setting them all on fire basically. As we're gonna see this High Noon, the triple kill again, wonderful triple kill.
The timing of it too was just a half a second longer, and the Mercy's out of the way and isn't going to get taken out, and the Diva had to go away because the Diva was at 1 health. So just perfect timing from an Inventor getting one of the cards there as well, deservedly so. But another really good map here for the side of On Fire as we now head into our 4th map. And I mean, you know, Blue Rain has put up a good fight, but I think the thing is just On Fire has been impressive.
Yeah, On Fire's been impressive, and it seems a lot of it is coordination based. I mean, we saw them try to bring out the pharmacy there, and it didn't seem like both Tourney and Bjorn were on the same page. Seemed like they were just, you know, Bjorn was flanking around by himself, and when you're playing pharmacy, you really have to commit to being, you know, you have to commit to being tethered to each other pretty much. So I'd like to see them maybe just up the communication just a little bit more.
And I think that was one of the things too that Blue Rain said they wanted to work on was clear comms. So that just kind of goes along with what they want to be working on, and you know, it's something that they get to at least look forward to. And it looks like our assault map for today is Temple of Anubis, so potential for more Farah here, possibly. Not necessarily, though, but it is something that we could see. But Temple of Anubis is a map where you can see a couple of different things, and then the second point is just difficult.
Yeah, yeah, the second point is definitely difficult, especially when you just have the enemies trickling in. It might not be as bad as something as Horizon Lunar Colony, but it is still pretty horrendous to just sit there and keep watching enemies trickle onto the point, and then they get a couple of picks, and all of that work you've done for that last point is completely null and void at that point. But I would maybe like to see the Pharah again. I mean, we saw it from Mac Almighty, and he did a really good job, and it doesn't seem like Blue Rain is really actually no, is Mac Almighty on Fire? Yeah, okay. It doesn't seem like Blue Rain is the color switch, that's why. It doesn't seem like Blue Rain was able to deal with it last time, and he didn't even have the Mercy. So I'd like to see Mac Almighty bring out this Pharah again on attack.
Do you want to see them keep the Zen, though, like they have been? Because, I mean, they haven't needed the Mercy.
Yeah, no, I mean, you need to, if you're going to play Pharah without a Mercy, I think it's pretty much essential that you at least have a target healer like a Zen or like an Ana or something like that. You definitely can't run, I mean, you can theoretically run it, but I think it's very difficult to run a Pharah with something like a Lucio Moira, because you can't really get the heals up to Pharah in the air, where if you're something like an Ana or a Zen, you can just, you know, click on them and they're going to get healed.
Yeah, Moira can send the healing ball up into the air, but once it passes by, it's just gone.
Yeah.
So it'll do healing for a second if the Pharah happens to be in the right place where the ball is thrown, because it doesn't move very fast. So yeah, it's a little bit difficult for Moira to do any healing onto a Pharah or a Lucio for that matter. But I mean, they've been making it work with the Zen, and they've been getting huge benefits out of the Discord Orb too.
Yeah, Discord R is something that doesn't. I mean, it shows up in the stats kind of, but it's something that you have to be really. It's really if the team's comms are crisp enough and there's just enough people, if there's enough people like understanding what the targets are for the Discord orb and the Zen is calling them, you can kill almost any team or any person if the targets are being called and if the targets are being jumped upon.
And some targets too. It's funny when we talk about dive and we talk about either diving with the orb or just diving on specific targets. We see it a lot. If you're a fan of Overwatch League, you see, the most successful teams are able to dive specific targets together from different locations. And I think that's always one of the things that's telling about a team is, are they able to coordinate their dive when they're not diving from the same place? And when you can do that, that's when you know you're doing pretty well as far as team coordination.
Yeah, and team coordination is such a huge part of this game. I mean, it's sometimes hard when you're in something like solo queue and you wish that people would talk to you and coordinate, because coordination, if you have coordination, that's half of the game right there. If you guys are talking, if you're calming, then you know that you guys know what you're doing and you're not just leaving it up to chance saying, well, is he going to go in? Is he not going to go in? Should I discord this person, et cetera, et cetera. So I really, teams with really good communication are really something nice to look at.
And we've seen some of that here today from both teams as well. And in Blue Rain, I think it's been interesting. We've been seeing switch things around. We're seeing Alpha KH and Mayhem come in. So a little bit of a different look we'll get to see as well from them. Once again, I think Loch Ness, Zekin, also players that we're seeing here as well.
Yeah, I think Zekin got subbed out, I believe, with Sweets. So Sweets and Zekin are the two that are coming in that we didn't see the last game, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But Zekin we saw was the DPS player on the first map, had some really good plays with Genji and Soldier from what I remember. So look out for that. They took away Bjorn on that Pharah, so Bjorn and Turney on the Pharah Mercy, so we might not see that just as much this game.
Be very curious to see who OnFire decides to put in for their final player if we maybe see Radical come back in.
Yeah, Radical. It looks like probably Radical. He's just sitting in the. He's the only one in the spectator mode left. So we are going to see Radical, and I mean honestly, if Radical is going to be, good enough to, I think he was the tank player or the support player. I don't. I'm trying to remember.
Genji.
He's the Genji player.
Yes, he was the Genji. He was the Genji for them, and then
yeah,
I think
right.
Soldier too. Can't remember.
Yeah, I can't. It was so long ago, but yeah, it says yeah. So Radical is the flex player on the team of OnFire on OnFire. So look for him. He's probably gonna come in and just flex onto something that they need. Too Salty and Mac Almighty. I don't think you take them off the DPS because they've just been so good so far.
It's funny though. We're not going to see. It's funny because Venard was so good on a couple of those maps. Zenard is the one who they're subbing out, or Venard, excuse me. I don't know why I said Zenard, but Venard is the one we're subbing out for the side of OnFire. So we're going to see at least one. Like you said though, Too Salty was playing some DPS. Too Salty the one DPS or Too Salty to support if Radical comes back in. So Radical could go back onto Genji, which Genji on Temple of Anubis is actually a very good character to pick.
Yeah, Genji on Temple, and I mean, if you want to just run full dive, I think that's a really good idea on this map. Especially if you can just disrupt what they have at the start. If they just if OnFire is going to be at this, is going to be starting. If you just completely dive onto that high ground, or you can go left. It depends on really what you decide. But having that full dive and having Genji be able to just get one of the picks in the back line on support or on a DPS even, that's just going to completely turn the fight. And when we talk about communication, dive is one of the comps where you really need that communication, and so far OnFire seems to really have it.
They've been jokingly saying that they're getting Jeff Kaplan for their team. So
Papa Jeff.
He's not too busy right now with all the Overwatch stuff that he's doing, and apparently he's a plat player. By the way, for those who don't know, Jeff Kaplan
And a Genji main.
Is he a Genji main?
Yeah, he said he's a Genji main.
I knew he was a plat, but I didn't know he was a Genji. So that's interesting to hear, and explains a lot about why he likes dive.
Yeah, we need to change. I mean, but then he let Brigitte come out, so I'm not sure how much he actually likes dive.
Yeah, right. True.
Brigitte is really good into dive.
She's just really good
Yeah,
right
that
now.
too. Yeah.
I wonder how long before we get a Brigitte nerf, and she's not even in the game yet. Is the best part.
Yeah. As someone who likes to play Tracer, uh, seeing a Brigitte on the other side is hooey. I think there are ways to definitely play around it, but you really need to be careful with your blinks and your spacing, because if you let her stun you, you're pretty much dead.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That shield bash. Forget about it. And then she'll
Yeah.
she'll hit the shift button on you, and
Yeah, and you're dead. You're just
you're dead.
you're dead.
And if you're not dead, she's gonna sling her flare around until you are. So, and she's gonna heal her team while she's killing you. So
And
it's just
herself.
yes. And so I don't know if this is Jeff or not, because the diamond player, I don't know. I'm very suspicious of this Jeff Cap that they say that they have. Although his name is Jeff, so with an extra F,
Oh.
Jeffer.
No, it's Jeff from Overwatch.
Jeff from Overwatch. Okay, there we go.
So it is legit.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
And they've switched to the Shanghai Dragons.
He's been
for
playing.
their
He's been
logos.
playing for what? How long has this game been out? 3 years, 4 years.
Right.
Like since beta, and then he's only 1 star.
Right.
Now,
Jeff, you gotta play more. Come on.
A little disappointed in Jeff right now, but we'll
Yeah.
see what Jeff decides to play. By the way, teams have switched sides here. So Blue Rain is now going to be the first team attacking in red, and OnFire will be in blue. So the team that's main color you would think would be red and OnFire.
Yeah, that's gonna
Is-
screw us up so hard.
You know what? I was just thinking about like the Dallas feel and how they have a flame as their logo and everything, and yet their color is blue.
Like a blue flame, though.
Right, yes. So it's a very hot flame, although
Yeah, very, very hot flame. Okay, that's what we're gonna say then.
right,
Two Fire is so on fire that they're just blue now.
right. Although not very blue today was the Dallas feel. So, but we'll not talk about that. As we look at what we're seeing here from both teams, from the side of OnFire, it looks like we might see some Widowmaker play from Divrent, who's one of the players who was brought in as well. And then we're going to have Mac Almighty on that patented Junkrat. He's been a pretty good Jake Rat so far. And then we'll have Widow for Zekin, and then Mayhem will be on Reaper.
Yeah, I really like this this defense that's coming out from the side of team. I think blue. It's on fire, right? Because they're
Yes.
Okay, I like it. What I'm seeing from on fire here. Widow on this map is really good, as we've seen in Overwatch and people like Soon and Fleta. If you get up on this high ground here, you have a really good sightline to the enemy team. And since they don't have any shields on the side of Team Blue Rain, Diver can get a couple of good picks here, and hopefully doesn't get picked by Zekin first.
Well, we'll watch the Widow v Widow matchup here at the start, as Zekin getting up onto the high ground, looking to see if there's another Widow. I don't think he saw the Widow yet. Gets Mac Almighty really close from going down. Zekin now getting a little bit of damage in, though, from Divrent now here, trying to avoid those shots. He gets jumped onto the 1v1, interrupted by a very angry Gorilla in Joe Syad. So, a very good start here for the defending team in Fire, as Divrent just cleans out.
Divrent actually going absolutely ham. Got 2 body shots onto Zekin. Didn't quite get the last bit of health, but his monkey friend was there, Josiah, to get that last kill. And Divrent here doing a really good job on this Widow, as we mentioned at the start. He's doing a great job of countering Zekin.
Looking right now for another target as Divrent finds one, has a bubble in front of him too, and now Zekin trying for the jump shot, does manage to get a lot of damage onto Divrent. Needs to get healed up, so not going to risk it and poke, and really not going to matter, because, well, Jeff on that Moira doing the work that's needed.
Yeah, and what the thing that's so good about what Divrent is doing here, Divrent is doing so well that Drama Boy had to pocket Zekin and get the shots to try and kill Divrent on that Widow, and wasn't able to be with his team, so the rest of the team of OnFire was able to do a great job in cleaning up without the healing from Drama Boy.
Very impressive from OnFire, especially because you're not getting that pressure from the Widow. Zekin has given up on the Widow v Widow fight and has gone over to the Tracer here. Too salty with the first pick, though. Drama Boy has the res lock nest, but now they're going to have the nano boosted Winston here to jump in and deal some damage. Mac Almighty getting some help as well. They did at least force the Widow off of the high ground, but Divrent still dealing damage out. Rest of his team doing the work needed to hold this point. 2 minutes left to go.
Oh, he doesn't want that fight. He different does not want this fight. Okay, good. He did not want to go up there with the Reaper. Reaper is not someone you want to be 1v1 close to area.
Yeah, and very smart by Different. I think that's one thing that's been impressive. Oh, you'll take him when he's running away, though. That's for sure. Good shot from Different there. But anyways, I was trying to say, you don't. The one thing that I've been impressed from Kenobi here from Different is his decision making of when to take fights and when to not take fights.
Yeah, definitely. He played, you know, he moved around a little bit off the high ground to get away from the Lucio that was chasing him. And Lucio, even though he isn't support, if he gets up in your face like that and you're not hitting your shots as Widow, he can do a lot of damage and possibly kill you. So Different here, staying on this high ground. Might want to switch over to the other side just to maybe get some of those better sight lines. Or he's going to just look onto the point here, try and get that Tracer.
Tracer on the point right now, just trying to force some of the team back. Mac Almighty takes out both supports with a Riptire. Mayhem, though, countering with getting a Mac and the Moira. So chance here for the offensive team if they can clear the point. Sweets finds 2 in Josiah and Beta. Different, though, still taking out players. Too Salty and Mac Almighty combining to get Sweets out of Mech and Loch Ness. So still a chance here, though, for the offensive team. Anna having to hide here. Too Salty gets spotted as Alpha KH does the work needed, and Different finally taken out by Drama Boy.
Drama Voice there said, screw this, I am going to kill this Widow, flew right up to her in her face in Valkyrie and just used that blaster that does a surprising amount of damage and was able to kill Different as Different finally is going to fall here. Gonna be on this high ground now, gonna try, still has a lot of good sightlines, but they're just gonna run right in here this side of Team Blue Rain.
They went in on the defensive ult of Alpha Cage, but Beta able to take out 2 after it ends. Mac already had a Riptire or 2, and now Coalescence here to deal more damage. Second, though, got Different with a nice pulse bomb, but it's not going to matter.
That was a actually insane pulse bomb there from Zekin. I mean, that was the Kobe pulse bomb. He kind of just threw it up in hopes that he was going to be able to get Different, and it managed to stick. Huge play there coming out from the side, from Zekin rather, but he just wasn't able to, the rest of the team wasn't able to follow up.
Just how he planned it though, right? He does switch to Genji. So we'll get to see some Genji on Genji action here, and Zekin gets dashed right into, almost gets taken out, but gets healed up by his Mercy here. Both teams not in the best spot as far as ultimates. You do have a couple coming up though for the defensive side.
Yeah, definitely. With these ultimates, you're going to look to see how they're going to be able to be used on the defense. I mean, Josiah will probably just save his up until that last team fight where he's going to be able to get all that 1,000 health and, you know, be a really nuisance to the team, booping them off and disrupting them. But they need to really look out for betas, too.
Beta with that self-destruct. Mac Almighty with the first pick here early on after, well, sorry, Drama Boy with the first pick on to Jeff. But Mac Almighty and Different doing some damage here as they push onto the point, though, offensively for the side of Blue Rain. Self-destruct here doesn't get anybody, but it forces people away. They're very close to that first pick, trying to come back out onto the point is on fire, but Blue Rain, too many players there. Second able to dash through Beta.
Different has Dragon Blade here.
See what it can get, though, is the biggest thing from, and not able to hold it at the side. As now Different will pop it here. Ends up dashing in, looking for 1, gets 1. Coalescence able to get 2 as well, so the defense will give up a tick, but they were able to hold on. Zekin popped his blade maybe a little too late.
Yeah, Zekin there did get a couple of kills onto the supports, but he was a little bit too far into the team of OnFire. They're not being able to do exactly what he wanted. Different's going to try and chase him down and get that stagger, but just barely manages with those to miss with those shurikens.
Do you think that that's maybe a blade he wishes he had back, though? Because it ends up being a waste in that fight.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if he could go back and, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. I definitely think Zekin probably wants that Dragon Blade back because there are no support ults now on the side of OnFire, so he would be able to do a lot of damage.
Just a self-destruct here, and Beta doesn't even need it. Doing the work needed, gets Sweets, and then takes out Alpha K. The rest of his team following along. Mayhem here, though, with the EMP to try and swing things back in their favor. But it looks like it's not going to matter, as having to regroup will be Blue Rain. Good call for the regroup, though, as they were down quite a few players. And then, ooh, the stagger onto Zekin.
Yeah, that's not a stagger you want to have if you're Zekin. You're going to have to wait a couple more seconds on the side of Team Blue Rain here. But, I mean, great play coming out from the side of Team, I mean, Beta has held on to this self-destruct for a very long time, so the patience coming out from OnFire with their ultimates, I really like seeing that.
And already very close to another Dragon Blade is different as well. He's got a 20% advantage over Zekin. That's always something you have to look at when you have the Genji v Genji, is who's building the blade faster. Well, right now it's different, as he's already almost up to it, and Zekin gets taken out. That'll allow for the blade to be used here again by Different as he goes slashing in towards the tanks. He's able to get Beta out of, or he's able to get, with the help of Beta, Sweets out of mech, and the rest of his team cleaning up with 25 seconds left to go.
Yeah, we've been talking about the DPS so much for the side of Team OnFire, but Josiah and Beta here have been playing so well on these tanks, as Mac Almighty's gonna stagger Zekin. They're not gonna have him for this next push, and that's huge that they're not gonna have that damage dealer.
Especially 8 seconds left to go. Zekin might be able to hurry back and get towards the tail end of the fight. Transcendence here by Too Salty early on. Self-destruct thrown out by Sweets. Doesn't get anything. Beta still has the self-destruct, well, decides to pop it now. Doesn't get anything for it, but does force people away. Overtime meter is so close to getting down. They just get back in time. Only problem is they're running out of players, and now that overtime meter is finally going to be able to go out. Zekin not able to get any value, doesn't build up to the blade either. But like you were saying, the tanks, you know, when you're not talking about the tanks, it's usually because they're doing well. And that's been the case for Josiah and for Beta, as they have been the two.
Yeah, Josiah and Beta have been creating so much space for Different. Even on that first point when Different was playing the Widow, I mean, Josiah and Beta were doing a great job of making sure they couldn't dive onto him or get any good sight lines. I mean, we saw even sometimes something that was really cool. Josiah would put bubbles in front of where the enemy Widow was playing, and they would just it would block all the shots. So great job there from the side of the tanks on the side of OnFire.
We now get to see OnFire now go on to offense, and I don't think Josiah and Beta haven't really switched off of those two tanks really too much either. We've seen them play a little bit of Orisa and a little, a couple other little things, but their bread and butter is Winston D.Va, and they make a really good combo.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't bro, I mean, Winston, I believe that probably, in my opinion, Winston and D.Va is just, currently is probably one of the best tank combos you can have. Just because the amount of damage you can do to a single target, along with the dive potential and the mobility that they have, especially with the kits, they can do. D.Va can pretty much do anything. She can, block damage. She can do damage. She can, kill a bunch of people. She just does everything. And having a Winston that can also just, get that target, single target damage, they're both really good at just killing people.
And they're going to have to do it again here on the offense. They did manage to allow them to take the first point, but generally it's hard to not give that up. But they gave up. It was actually exactly 50%. So 50% on the second point. So they'll have to build up to that if they want the win here and want to have the clean sweep of the wins.
Yeah, they're gonna have to difference on that Widow, so they're gonna have to be really scared, really careful on the side of Blue Ring not to get picked. As Loch Ness is gonna have that shield up, but people can't really poke out from behind it, or else they're going to get picked by Different here.
Zekin has made the switch to the McCree, and he likes the McCree versus Widow battle better, and well, it worked out here early on.
Yeah, Zekin getting a couple of good headshots there and getting the final one to put the nail in the coffin of the Widow there. So really good job by him, and it's going to have to stall their push from the side of Team OnFire here. Zekin's just going to be, doing a lot of good damage. I think he's already halfway to an ultimate ability, so that's really good on his part.
And Different, not able to do a whole lot, but his team pushing towards the point, so maybe that'll give him a little bit more space. We'll see if Different switches here or not after that second kill. Decides to go to the Genji, actually. So even though his team forced everything towards the point to give him a little more space, he makes the switch, and probably the right decision, as they lost another fight there. So now Zekin up to a Deadeye Drama Boy with a Coalescence as well.
Yeah, but Different is just gonna stick to his guns, I guess, stick to his sniper rifle rather, and stay on that Widow. So interesting decision. They've been doing a great job on the side of Team Blue Ring here. Zekin got the kill, and Alpaca also got a kill with his right click, I believe. So they've been doing a good job, and if they can keep Different in check here on this Widow, they're gonna do a lot of good.
It takes only one headshot to make that Widow worth being played. getting very aggressive with the Widow right now as well. Gets a headshot onto Zekin, but Zekin gets a headshot of his own, so both of those DPS players really low right now. But on the point, the battle going in favor of OnFire, at least for the moment, as they're trying to get onto the point, but they're being forced off here for the moment by the D.Va and the Moira. But now the D.Va finally taken out. They should be able to take this point finally, as they just have Drama Boy on the Moira to deal with.
Yeah, the rest of the teammates on the side of Team OnFire say, it's alright, Divrin, that you're not clicking all the heads that you were in the first game. It's okay, me and the rest of the team, we're going to do our part this time, and we're going to carry you, basically, through this first point. So, good job on the part of the tanks and the supports they're getting. Basically, I mean, Too Salty there in that last fight was playing basically a DPS, getting all of those kills in his name in the kill feed.
The one thing, though, even though Different hasn't been getting the kills, which Different does there, gets Mayhem, is he's still forced the other team to play very conservatively, and when they don't, that's what happens. Transcendence from either side, Different finding another headshot as well, dealing the damage out this time onto the second point. Alpha KH really close to going down, finally taken out by the submachine gun, as they're looking for a quick take here. Already almost up to 50%, already to 39, as they just need to get these couple off, and they do, and they win this map again, as they win their 4th in a row and win this one. They get 4 points once again, 2 points though for the side of Blue Rain. And those 2 points are important as far as standings go.
And Different must have heard me on that last point, because you saw his name pop up all the time in the kill feed with those red arrows, getting headshot after headshot, and doing a great job there at pretty much getting those picks. As you mentioned, it takes only 1 pick for these teams for that Widow pick to be worth it, and getting 3 is definitely a good job.
Very impressive stuff from the side of OnFire. And for Blue Rain, I mean, it was just, they had so much to deal with. The tanks and the DPS were just playing so well for the side of OnFire. And you know, there's another position too that when you're not talking about it, it's usually because they're doing their job really well. And for OnFire, that's their supports. Their supports played outstanding. They were keeping players up. They were, you know, we talked about having the no mercy for the Pharah, and the only way you can do that is when you have a good Zenyatta, and that's something we definitely saw from OnFire.
Yeah, and I like how OnFire, it was basically a whole team effort. I mean, and when one person we were focused on wasn't playing, you know, as good as we've seen them so far, another person like Josiah and Beta, they would take over the reins of getting, you know, all the good plays. And then it was also Too Salty on that, you know, on that Zenyatta doing a great job too. So I like how it was just an all around well-rounded effort. And I am going to be happy to see more of OnFire in the future.
Definitely am, and I think that Blue Rain still has a lot of room to grow. We talked about how they've only been together for 2.5 months here so far. What needs to happen for this team, though, to continue to improve? Because there's definitely some signs of some really good stuff. I mean, Zekin taking out Divrent at the beginning there was pretty awesome. Almost won another battle with Divrent after that when Divrent came back onto the Widow. And the rest of his team just ended up falling, so it didn't really matter. But what needs to happen for Blue Rain the rest of the way?
I think Blue Rain needs to just hanker down a little bit and work on their communication slightly. I talked about it before on Dorado, where, you know, Bjorn and Turney were playing that pharmacy, and Bjorn kind of just was by himself, and Turney wasn't really healing him that much. And against someone like Mac Almighty, who was on that tree, headshot after headshot after headshot, getting this Pharah down in 2 to 3 kills. That can't happen when you're running a pharmacy. So I think just communication would be the name of the game for me for Blue Rain.
Yeah, they definitely have the technical ability. I think that's the one thing to point out, is that there's definitely, their tanks are pretty good. We saw Sweets make some really good plays on the D.Va too. And then just a lot of things that we're just not quite there. And Loch Ness is a pretty good Winston as well. So they have the ability. It's just like you said, just putting it all together. So that's one of the other things that's fun about this is, you know, improving. Playing against teams that are better than you is one way to improve, and that's something that Blu-ray gets to do here. And for OnFire, well, they've switched the logos to the fuel now because I guess they're on fire. But it's been a fun one, Kenobi. Appreciate doing the game with you as always, and
me too.
Of course, thanks to everybody with the Discord community Throwdown. Of course, be sure to tune into all of the games that are going to be going on. This round robin lasts for quite a bit before they kind of have a playoffs that'll come afterwards. The other thing, too, thanks to D-Row, who's been doing the recording for this as well, has been our producer for the game. So thanks to him as well for taking the reins and doing everything that is needed there. But I think that's going to do it here for us. Until next time.
Bye.